Hi, you guys. Welcome back. My name is Carrie Penny. I am the Happy Crafty Homemaker, and I am not sure what number show and tell this is. I think we're in the 170 somethings. So we did not have a show and tell last week. I had a unboxing video and a sweater update video. So first off, I want to thank you guys so much for the protect Carrie's feelings comments and stuff that I got on my last show and tell. I'll be honest, you guys, I was really just throwing the commentary into the show and tell to explain why there was a splash screen on the Taming the Stash video. It never really hurt my feelings. It didn't really bother me. I understand some people come from a place of hurt. Some people are just trolls living under a bridge. It really didn't bother me that much, but thank you guys so much for the support. I'm not planning on taking away the Taming the Stash series this year. We will continue to do that. Speaking of which, we're going to have kind of like a micro update, just because I did finally finish reorganizing the big yarn wall. I've kind of done some stuff with this yarn wall, and there's visible changes occurring, and I want to keep you guys updated on where we are on how things are changing, especially with the update of the yarn wall, because I gotta say I am pleased as punch with how that's looking right now and where I am on the organization of how to move through things. So that will hopefully be up on Saturday. It's really going to depend on how I feel as the day progresses. It's 10 a.m. I've walked, showered, picked up, done some laundry and stuff, and I still haven't caffeinated at all. So this is my first cup of coffee, so I'm feeling a little yeah, it's been a very long week. There have been lots of little things going on. Nothing like, oh my god, my life is so horrible, or it's so dramatic. It's nothing like that. It's a lot of little things that just have absorbed a whole bunch of my time recently. I am trying to work on the Yarn and Stitches subscription box project. I have not touched month 1 since I shared with you guys month 2, which I feel really bad about because I really love how that shawl is turning out. But I've just been busy with other projects. Oh, I don't know if you heard that, but that was a pitiful little mew. He has the sweetest, tiniest little mews. A couple of you guys said you didn't realize how small he was based on the pictures. So he is only 8 pounds, whereas Pippin is 13 pounds. I mean, he's got little tiny hands, little delicate foof hands. So say bye-bye, Ben Emmer. Say bye-bye. He's like, just put me down, woman. They just put me down. I'm done with this. I'm done with this. They just got second breakfast, so they should be pretty good moods. So I've been working on a whole bunch of projects and not working on a whole lot of projects. I've been doing a lot of stuff around the house, and then I feel like I'm doing a whole lot of stuff, and then I don't have a whole lot of stuff in my basket until a day like this where all of a sudden things start coming together and my basket's full even though there's not a whole lot of items in here. There's a whole lot of work in my basket right now. And now he's up in his windowsill, so he's going to be happy as he can be. I need to get a new cat perch. So our old one is fine, but the new one, the carpet in it was really cheap, and they've shredded the carpet off. So it's a bunch of like bare nylon strings over a piece of wood. I would have thought the cheap fluffy stuff would have been what disappeared, but nope, they shredded the carpet off. So, I did accidentally get a subscription box. Like, I don't know what I was thinking. I haven't slept well most of this week, so I'm guessing I was just thinking, oh crap, I don't have a subscription box, even though I said I was going to go ahead and skip a month, but whatever. So we will have a subscription box review coming forward. I already know who I want to review after this, though, so we're going to go, right now we've got Indie Dyer, I think very good pricing. We've had it's very much worth the pricing on the Yarn and Stitches box, but they are independent dyers. Then you've got Moderate, More Accessible, I think is what I'm going to call the next box. We'll see how I feel about it once I have the box in hand. And then the next one will be going back to a slightly higher end independent dyer. And maybe we can keep these alternating We are just having a lot of issues with companies are no longer doing their boxes, and finding something that's new and interesting and not identical to something I already have shown you guys has actually become a little bit of a problem. But this is one somebody reached out and asked, would I be willing to review this, because it's something that they're able to get. And so I said, sure, why not? So we will have another review series for quarter 2. We will also have an update coming up, not next week, but the following week, of where I am on 2023's goals. So there'll be lots of videos coming forward. So it's probably a good thing that, like, I took a Tuesday break. I still need to decide what tutorial I want to share with you guys, because the one I had wanted to share, I haven't already started, which means it's not going to get shared. So my goal was to share some kind of tutorial every month. So hopefully I will have a tutorial coming out here in the next week or 2. With the number of videos coming up the last week of March, we may or may not have a show and tell then. So that means the following week, the first week of April, maybe even the second week of April, we're going to have like 80 bajillion finished objects, hopefully, to share. Anyway, basket of goodness. So I did complete one of the prayer shawls for this time period, and this is the second prayer shawl. So there should be 6 by the end of this. We're only to 2. And we're only a couple weeks away from Easter. But this is using Premier Angel in At the Beach, I think is the name of it, and Pixie Hollow Mandala. And this is my half circle shawl. I accidentally made it 11 wedges. I would not recommend 11 wedges. Number one, each row took so long. So long. But unless you're planning on making it into a sweater, which 11 would work for, if you're just wanting to make a shawl, I would not recommend 11 wedges. It's a little dense in the back for my taste. Just the way it hangs back there, you have a little bit more pleating. So if you want something that gives you fullness in the back, that might not be a bad idea. But I will say I like how the 11 wedges wraps around the lower part of the arm. So it is kind of more like wearing a blanket, because it is so wide. But bada bing, bada boom. I love how it turned out. Very bright, very exciting. This is far more my color palette than the one I shared 2 weeks ago. The next one, I'm doing a basic corner to corner stole wrap, and that's using peas and carrots. So that's a Line Brand cupcake and Wizard, I believe. Wizard or Gnome. I can't remember which one I grabbed. No, Gnome's still down here, so it's using Wizard. I still have a lot of ends to weave in, but we do have one completed shawl. Next, we have 3 corner to corner scrap squares, using the scraps for the things I've been cranking out on the Addy. So these are 10 by 10 corner to corner squares. I do have a tutorial for the shawl and for this now. Worsted weight acrylic scraps using a size I crochet hook. So we do have a bunch of those. Let's flip the 2 big things out of the basket, and then I will show you the little things, and then we'll come back to the big things. If you follow me on Instagram, you'll know what one of those is. So we have a couple of sets that I finished in here. So this is an ear warmer using actually one of the yarns we got from a Mary Maxim kit. It's the off-white cream yarn. When I reviewed that I said, you know, I was frustrated because I couldn't rebuy it if I loved it. But it's just another large ear warmer. I still need to order a replacement for the 22 pin Addy. So I ordered one and accidentally ordered another king. So I had to return that, and now I still haven't ordered a new 22 pin. But I do want to do some slightly smaller ear warmers as we are moving into warmer weather, even though it was 30 degrees when I left this morning. So here's the matching cowl that goes with that one. And I do not remember the name of this colorway, but this is the one I was having a hard time deciding what color to pair it with, because those I Love This Yarn prints are the perfect size to do. So this is a 100 row cowl, and I whip stitch the back closed, but you could do different versions of slip stitches to slip stitches closed, just however you feel like doing it. And then I do 50 rows on the headband with the I Love This Yarn prints, and then the coordinate color. And I actually start with the ear warmer. So do the 50 rows and then the 50 rows, and then I just use up the skein to do the cowl. And it works out perfectly to use up the one-off color skeins. Same kind of deal where I didn't quite have a whole skein, but I had most of a whole skein of I Love This Yarn prints in Blossomopolis. This is left over from when I participated in Chevy Rel's 80s Make-Along a while back. I had one skein of this left over. So I paired it with a coral I Love This Yarn, and I may end up keeping this set too, which will make 2 of the ones I've made this year that I ended up keeping. But I love this Blossomopolis yarn. It is one of my all-time favorite colorways that is a big box acrylic. It's a good thing I don't take myself seriously. I did do the W knot for this one. This is a pleated knot. So I sewed the 2 ends together flat and then pleated that seam. So you can actually see the seam right there. So I'm still playing with different techniques. So not everything is 100% identical, because that does get a little tiring to start weaving in ends and finishing work on. But I think I might keep this set because I do really, really love it. And I don't have anything quite like this in my collection already. One day I'll take a picture of my drawer of sets and share with you guys. I mean, I do already have a lot. Like, I'm not going to try to pretend I don't. I have kept a lot of sets for myself over the years. So we have another bubblegum set or cotton candy set. This is a cinch top. Once again, tails until I decide whether or not I want to add pom-poms to it. And with this set, we have a full length long scarf. And this is pretty long. I think I did this one at 400 rows. So it's actually a little big for me. And the hat is a little extra long too. But I'm loving playing with like the varsity stripes. I don't know why. That's not something when I hand knit I ever really want to do. But for some reason, I am really enjoying the varsity stripes on the Addie things. So I will stack these up. That way, when I do a check-in for the next Taming This Stash, not the next one, the one after this one, the next upcoming one, I can show you guys what I've made out of the basket of stuff that's been sitting on my sofa, which still looks untouched because I went off on a whole nother tangent. These, well, I guess all this will stay down here for now. I had to separate things out. Oof. I keep forgetting this is much taller than my normal stand and it wiggles a lot more. All right. I kind of went this way and then this way and this way. What I was intending to say. So, in cleaning the yarn wall, one of the things I did was I got a whole bunch more yarn off the yarn wall that I was dedicating to the Addie knitting machine. Now that I've messed up my hair quite thoroughly. Messing up Sarah's haircut. Even though I had to style it because it's been a week since I got a cut. Or 2 weeks. A week. Anyway. So the whole cleaning the yarn wall project started because I was thinking about going ahead and starting a scrap gan using my sock weight yarns. But what I wanted to do was start pulling out all the big box yarns that I knew I wasn't going to use for anything other than maybe a couple pairs of socks, which once again, there's nothing wrong with that. I do like my big box sock yarn, but I'm getting far more into the hand dyed, slightly better quality wool stuff for things like scarves, cowls. I really enjoy working with fingering weight yarn in general. So I meant to just go through the section of my sock yarn where I was going to have solids and variegateds that would be good for this project. That turned into a whole reorg of the entire wall. So I shared in the Taming the Stash where I put the sock yarn into an IKEA Dorona tub bin. It's a bin meant for my calyx unit. So it's a 13 by 13 basket. Anyway, I'd filled that with the sock yarn that I was going to use. That's what I'd already pulled out. But because I kind of made a mess of the room, I needed to finish working my way down that wall. So literally, once again, I was laying hands on individual skeins, going through each skein one by one, touching them, experiencing them. What did I want to do with these? And having to sort them into categories to put back on the yarn wall. In doing so, I pulled a whole bunch of stuff off the yarn wall that I knew was immediately going to go into projects. Some we'll discuss about in the video, but some got set aside on the sofa. And they're going to be my next blanket. So the first one I did was brights. This one is going to be pastels. Or pastels, as so much of the world calls it. But we started with, I got these 3 pieced together. I already have knitted off 2 blue and 1 other green tube, and I have another pink and yellow set aside. Oh, I messed up and had to put my last loop on a thing. So I'm joining this the exact same way, where we're slipping 1 stitch, 1 loop of a stitch over, and slip stitching back and forth. It creates a braided join. I did not have a tail here because for some reason I didn't pay attention to that. So until I come back and do my border, I need that final loop to stay on a stitch marker. So that's what that is. I mess up too, you guys. I'm just saying, I keep telling you guys, as much as we want to pretend we're perfect, we're not over here. Perfection is overrated. So this is, once again, each of these panels is 300 rows. And for some reason, this one seems to want to be longer than the brights one. But I have not made a final decision. So I am not using the same pink, yellow, green, blue for the tubes I have. I've got a blue Caron 1-pound tube, and I've got a blue Premier Anti-Pilling tube. This is Light Sage Red Heart Super Saver. This is an Erica skein of I Love This Yarn. The next one's Basics. The next one of this is Impeccable. This is Cornflower from Red Heart. The next one will be Impeccable. So, like, they're all going to be different. So I haven't decided if I just want to keep the 8 panels, there are 8 tubes, or if I want to go out and purchase something that would maybe go with it, or maybe add like maybe an off-white. I do have some off-white Red Heart Soft that I could add in maybe. I don't think I have enough of the tan in one color to do, say, like 2 tans to frame it off or something. I don't know. I haven't decided, because this one seems to want to pull much more narrow and long compared to my Brights blanket. My Brights blanket isn't huge. It's big, but it's not huge. I'm only 5'5", and it's the perfect size for me to like snuggle directly under. There's no sharing that blanket unless you're just throwing it over 2 laps. So I've been working on this, and the pile that I had set aside for this has actually diminished greatly, because now I've done the 2 blues. I've got the pink on the go. So I just have the yellow and one other blue option that I laid out sitting there. So my sofa's getting clean again. It's just process. It's a process. So in doing the side, dadgummit, I forgot to move my hand before I took my hand off the stand. Yeah, I think I'm going to go back to my original stand. As much as I like the extra light and I think it makes things pop more as I'm holding them up, I'm not super keen on this wiggly wobbly thing. And I don't have the space for a nice professional setup. So this is a multi-purpose surface and I need multi-purpose tools. The next one is my sock weight blanket that I've been working on. So I have cranked out 10 out of 12 tubes. I had 11, but when I was looking at the ones I had in my basket, one stood out as not looking right. So I'm going to turn that into a scarf, and I've got some more. Actually, in here, I held back 4 skeins of the variegated in that one. So I'm going to go ahead and use that to make a matching hat. But that ended up being, it's red, tan, and black, and it just doesn't match. Everything else is very cool tone. It's very blue, very purple, very pink, even though I have a lot of like army green and khaki and stuff like that in these colors. There's gray, there's black, there's khaki. I'm really surprised that everything reads so purple. But so far, I have 4 of the panels put together. And these are 100% scrappy. There's no rhyme or reason. There's no... But I love it. I am loving how this is turning out. So I have no idea how much yarn I've used so far this month. I do want to get this blanket done. Bordered and everything, which I still haven't decided what kind of border I want to do. I do have, because the three yarns held together. This is three. And mine is taking it just fine. I know a couple of people have said that theirs doesn't like doubling up with the fingering weight yarn. Mine seems to take 3 just fine. Some take 2. Do whatever your machine will do. Mine's not tacking, ticking, or skipping with 3. I have more issue trying to put Karen 1 pound through it than I've had putting 3 strands of sock weight yarn together. But because of that, I have no idea how much yarn I've used. I mean, it is, that bin is empty and I have a whole lot of ball bands sitting down here, but that doesn't include the ball bands that I had set aside in that little drawer container for my 20 gram minis as I was going to. So I may end up with like, I don't know. I mean, looking at the ball bands, I would say I have at least 70 ball bands from this month. Just what I've been using on the knitting machine. But I've already almost filled my bulldog clip in January, February. So I think I'm going to have to use a manila folder or something to hold everything together by quarters, or use like quart bags or something, because I've got a lot of them down here that I haven't even put in my envelope in my book, and my book folder's full. When I finished off my shawl the other day, I was like, oh, I barely have room to stick these in here. So I'm using a lot of yarn, and based on what I was able to get up on the yarn wall and the way I was able to organize it, I would say I've used a lot more than I thought I did. So I'm going to take the red panel that now took me down to 10 that I have knitted off, and I have the ends complete. Once again, I did the crochet, single crochet end here. I will do a tutorial. I might have to break this up into 3 separate things. 1, how I do the ends. 2, how I join them together. And then 3, how I do the border. There is a trick I used for the border to give me that nice flat border with the first blanket. So I'll test that out with these. I could go ahead and show you how I end these and how I join these though. And that was originally supposed to be the tutorial, but I think I need to break it up into 3 separate things, because while they go together in the same project, they are 3 separate techniques. So anyway, that's a Carrie thinking on the fly thing. all of my tubes, all 10 tubes were ready to go. I just started joining them because I really wanted to see this starting to come together. And then I noticed that red thing sitting out there. So that'll become a hat and scarf set because that is still 300 rounds, which is perfect for a double wrap infinity scarf for me. Or I could leave it open and just use it as a scarf. Because get the corner here. There's slack, a little bit of slack there. Once again, your scarf should be about your height. I'm 5.5 feet, 5'5". Your wingspan is your height, even wrapping it a little bit around my fingers. This is right now a little bit taller than I am. So I've not decided on how I want to do the border. I'm giving myself time to think. I do have a couple things that are worsted weight merino nylon blends that might pair very nicely, as a lot of this is, you know, merino sock wool. But that's what I've been doing. That's been my big time suck recently when it comes to what crafty time I have. These have been a little fidgety because you've got a lot of yarns going into it. But the sock yarns, because they are the cheaper sock yarns, tend to be a lot stickier. So I'm getting a lot of knots and tangles. And I've noticed that a lot of things that I had in my stash, I'm glad I didn't try to make socks out of, because they just don't feel good on their own. They just feel... I didn't like them. So I'm going to end up working out that I put them into a big blanket, because even the yarns I didn't like worked really well in here. And I mean, we have everything. There's that's Premier Vegas Lights in there that's doing the neon striping there. There's a Peyton's in here, a Peyton's Croy. This is a random variegated I had with some black. I did put a lot, and one of the reasons why these softened up, even with the yuckier yarns, a lot of the loops and thread wool like that I just don't like working with it has gone into this, and that has really softened up a lot of things. That one is 100% acrylic. I know a lot of people like it. I love the way the fabric feels with it. I don't like working with it. So, and I had a bunch of it. I had like 4 tans, 4 blacks, 4 garnets, 4 light purple, 4 dark purple, 4 pinks. So a lot of that did actually get worked into this so far. I have a heft at my tongue. I can feel it on my lip. I'm still losing hair. I shed really, really bad. It's not breakage. I just shed. So I'm still losing a lot. Anyway, I use that as a lot to blend in. Like I had a Topu sock yarn from Hobium, and I really just didn't like the way it felt. It was very sticky and a little on the rough side, which is great for socks. Like it would have made an excellent pair of socks, but I had 2 that were in the same colorway. So I went ahead and, you know, like paired that wool like with something like that that was really kind of edgy. So there is some thought that has gone into this, but none of this has been like my hand-dyed specialty yarns. All this has been, you know, like Lion brand. Like I said, I had a bunch of stuff from like Sensations from Joann's. There's some Peyton's Croy that I at some point I must have bought like a 12 skein or 6 skeins bags of these, where I really like working with Peyton's Croy. I think it makes an excellent sock. It's a very dense yarn, so it's excellent for heavy wear socks. But I don't need, I mean, 2 skeins, technically 1 skein with a coordinating heel toe and cuff gets me a pair of socks. If I wanted to make a pair of socks for my husband, I need 2, not 6 or 12 in some cases of these. Now there was one color that I did keep all 6 in my stash, and that's just because I want to make something other than socks with that set. I don't know what I want to make with it yet, but something other than socks. But anyway, I've spent enough time just babbling here. I need to get this updated. I do have some cat pictures that should be slipped in here at the end. Please come back on Saturday for the Taming the Stash update, because we're primarily going to be talking about the yarn wall and where we are on that. This is going to be a little mini update to the Taming the Stash project. So I'm very excited. I keep coming down here and looking. There are certain sections where I'm just like, nailed it. We still have lots of progress to go, but there are certain places where it's just like, anyway, you guys, I love you. Have a wonderful, fantastic day. As always, take care, and I will see you guys real soon. Bye, guys.